Hello and welcome to Pro Trader Strategies Market Commentary for Wednesday, February the 20th. My name is Eric Wilkinson, and some of you may recognize me as the Wolfman from CNBC, Fox Business, or even the Wall Street Journal for my commentary on everything from economic to geopolitical and market analysis. Please keep in mind that everything that we talk about in these market commentaries is not a solicitation to buy or sell any of these securities or strategies. At the end of the day, though, we are here to teach you some different strategies you can then implement into your portfolios, but please do that in your own way. Also, remember, past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, having that out of the way, let's get it on with some economic data. Today is a little bit light on the economic data. It's actually showing up in the equities, just not a whole lot of information to go on, so the equities are pretty tight range as of right now. I am shooting this video a little bit earlier than I normally do, but that's because I got a lot of things going on today, and I don't know that I would be able to shoot the video, get it compressed, converted, and sent out in a reasonable time. It might end up being, I could shoot the video a little bit later, but then to get it compressed and moved around and all that stuff sent out to you guys might not end up happening before the end of the day, possibly. So I wanted to get this out of the way for you guys right away. But across the pond, not really a whole lot to see over there. They are getting consumer confidence coming out in about an hour and a half. That's about it. Tomorrow's a real big day for the flash PMIs and stuff like that from across the pond. We also get natural gas and crude oil inventories. Crude oil inventories moved back a day because of the Monday holiday. All right, let's move it on over to the markets right now. We've got crude oil right now just slightly in negative territory. It actually looks like it's a little bit toppy to me. I've been talking about this. The market is a little overextended to the upside. I'm expecting this market to stay down in the mid to lower 50s. Just the way that the demand and the builds have been happening in crude oil, I think that this market's ready to kind of roll over and settle down in and around those low to mid 50s, unless some kind of crazy catalyst comes in to really spark this, kind of like what we saw here with gold futures. Yesterday, a massive rally. Today, a bit of a continuation. I'm at a point of where I'm believing that I think that this market is a little overdone to the upside. I was looking at GDX and a couple of other trades to try and play something to the downside. The only thing is volatility is so low across the board. I mean, even stocks that are having earnings are really seeing lower than normal volatilities for those types of events. And that being said, nothing else has really changed on that front. So I am looking for a couple of things to really try and play this to the downside. Then we move on to the VIX. The VIX is starting to come off just a little bit, just outside of that 15 handle. Again, equities really trying to decide whether we're going to move higher or lower. And right now we're starting to settle down in and around this area. Let's get over to the equities and check those out. As we can see with the Dow Jones Industrial Average yesterday, got a little bit toppy after the big rally on Monday. Today, no confirmation of a top right now. Any break above yesterday's high would kind of break that pattern, but a settlement below yesterday's low would really start to make this look like a confirmation of a topping pattern. Then we look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has a very similar situation. It's trading in and around that 200-day moving average. It should act as support and resistance, although it's kind of peeling back and forth there right now. The settlement is the real key to look at there. I think that, again, equities a little overdone to the upside, may start to roll back over down towards their point of controls. E-mini S&Ps looks very similar, doesn't it? I mean, it's a very quiet day, but yesterday's market action with this doji and a settlement down in the lower half of this on Monday's doji would really look bad. That would look like a massive confirmation to the downside. A settlement below yesterday's low is going to start looking pretty iffy on any continuation to the upside. Let's look at the E-mini S&Ps on the breakdown. You can see an inside day. Yesterday's range pretty wide, but today we are inside of that. It's really quiet, not a lot of volume going into the markets right now. People might be waiting for some of this economic data coming out later on today, but there's not really a whole lot to look at other than like Australia or something like that. We do have the FOMC meeting minutes coming out later on this afternoon. That could do something, but that's going to be so late in the day that I don't think it's going to do anything. All right, let's take a look at EA Sports. EA Sports is a trade that I've been looking at. It's one of the few stocks that still has high implied volatility with no earnings in and around it. Now, I've been talking about this stock for quite a while now because they came out with Apex Legends, which was to compete with Fortnite. It really did. It actually knocked the socks off with some of the records that Fortnite was holding on the amount of people on this platform at any given time. I think 40 million was the max for Apex Legend, which broke a lot of Fortnite's records. Now that happened, and I started talking to my kids and a couple of other people about this Apex Legend, how it doesn't really seem like it's a very straight, correlation to Fortnite. Fortnite, you're allowed to build and do all these other things. Apex Legends is more like the other combat video games. So I think it's more of a competition between Apex Legends and some of these other fighting games rather than Fortnite. So they are still working with the same user, and they're competing for that user, but it's a different game altogether. And I think that people are actually starting to fall back into Fortnite. As a matter of fact, my kid was saying that he wasn't really thrilled with Apex Legends and went back to Fortnite as well with his crew of friends. So I was looking at a couple of things to play this to the downside. You remember I put in a ratio call spread to the upside. That's not working out. It's going to the downside, but because I was able to collect a credit, that is going to be able to stay in my pocket. So I don't really care if it rolls over. As a matter of fact, I started looking at a ratio put spread to put on this thing and create this crazy condor or something like that. I decided to stay away from that and looked at a couple of other things like selling some extra calls against it. I'm not going to add any more risk with EA Sports, despite the fact that it seems like the only cat in town to trade. But according to my rules anyway, I don't want to add any more premium buying strategies in my portfolio. I'd like to mix it up a little bit, get a little bit more flavor in there. So I haven't added anything. And that's about it. Tomorrow's webinar is going to be on like I said, the put ratio spread. It would have been great to set up for this if you have a bearish assumption in EA Sports. It worked out really great. I could have set this strategy up to where my break even was all the way down at 92, which is a nice support below this little support resistance and the value area low. So that really looked nice. I had to talk myself out of that one, but for you guys, if you didn't add that long strategy for EA Sports, this might be a great time to add in this long put ratio spread. And that's about it. So other than that, I'm going to be working on a couple of things for you guys that we're going to be bringing out a brand new course. I think it's going to be great for everybody. We're going to be working on that this week and next week. So when this course that we're doing on the implied volatility strategies is over with, we're going to roll right into that one, and I'm pretty excited about building this one out because it's a different format than what we're normally looking at. All right, so check it out, protraderstrategies.com, and if you can't take that when I miss it, take it easy.